The wind didn't blow across the Montana frontier that winter. It screamed. In 1887, a woman alone had only two protections in the wild north. Her courage, or a man willing to stand beside her. Eliza Hart possessed only the first, and even that was fading. She stood on a frozen rail stop at Black Hollow with a single suitcase and nowhere left to go. Back east, a factory collapse had swallowed her family's savings and her future in one brutal afternoon. The last coins she owned had carried her west. Now the train was gone. The town was silent. And the law was clear: no husband, no work, no shelter. At the edge of the platform stood the man no one approached. They called him Grave Mason. A mountain drifter wrapped in patched fur and weather-beaten leather. Snow clung to his shoulders like frost on a tree trunk. He looked less like a man and more like something carved out of the wilderness itself. People said he spoke to no one. That he lived somewhere above the peaks. That he owned nothing but the cold. Yet when Eliza met his eyes, she didn't see danger. She saw stillness. "I have shelter," he said quietly. His voice rolled low, like distant thunder. "It's far. The climb is hard. But you'll be safe." She glanced at her thin boots, then at the jagged white mountains rising beyond town. No job. No roof. No future. Slowly, she placed her hand in his. The judge married them in less than 3 minutes. No witnesses. No vows. Just survival. By sunset, they were already climbing into the forest, leaving Black Hollow behind as if it had never existed. The woods swallowed them. Mason moved like he belonged there, silent, sure-footed, reading the land the way others read books. When he paused to listen, even the wind seemed to quiet. At a frozen stream, he broke the ice and handed her water. "Drink." Cold steals strength faster than hunger. His hands were rough, scarred, yet careful. Not the hands of a brute. The hands of a builder. By nightfall, a storm rolled in. Snow slashed sideways through the trees. The trail vanished. Eliza slipped, but Mason caught her before she fell, pulling her into a narrow gap between rocks. He wrapped his heavy buffalo cloak around them both. "Heat is life," he said calmly. As the blizzard howled, he spoke softly about stars, direction, wind patterns. His words were precise, educated, nothing like the silent outcast the town described. Something gold slipped from his coat. A locket. Inside, a painted portrait of a refined woman, and a detailed drawing of a grand structure made of glass and stone. Eliza looked up. "You're not what they say." His jaw tightened slightly. "That life is buried." At dawn, the storm broke. Sunlight spilled across a sea of clouds below them. "Come," Mason said. "You should see the reason I brought you." He led her to a cliff face that looked solid, until he pulled aside frozen branches. Hidden steps. Carved into the mountain. They climbed. And then she saw it. A valley above the clouds, green, warm, alive. Steam rose from clear pools. Flowers grew where winter should have ruled. At its center stood a vast house of cedar, quartz, and glass glowing in the light. Eliza's breath vanished. "That," Mason said softly, "is home." Days passed. She learned the valley's secrets: warm springs beneath the soil, wind blocked by stone ridges, water flowing through channels he'd carved himself. Shelves of books lined the walls inside. Blueprints covered his worktable. Instruments, tools, journals. "You built this?" she whispered. "One piece at a time." That night, for the first time in years, she slept without fear. Weeks later she asked quietly, "Who were you, before the mountains?" He set the locket on the table. "My name was Adrian Mason," he said. "Architect. Chicago." He told her about towers, wealth, applause, and a wife who died breathing smoke-choked city air. I came here to disappear, he finished. But the mountain doesn't let a man disappear. It remakes him. Eliza took his hand. You didn't run. You created something the world never could. Spring reached the valley gently. Snow melted into singing streams. Flowers spread color across the slopes. Together they expanded the house, stone by stone, window by window. Below, people whispered stories of steam rising from impossible heights. No one ever found the path. The mountain kept its promise. Years later, standing on the ridge above the clouds, Eliza smiled. She remembered the frightened girl at the train platform, convinced she had married the poorest man in the territory. Behind her stood a home stronger than any mansion. Beside her stood the quiet mountain man the world called nothing. She laced her fingers through his. They think we vanished, she said. Adrian nodded calmly. Let them. Above the storms, hidden from the world, they had discovered a truth no gold rush ever found. The richest life is the one no one else can reach.